Morning, everyone. My name is Feisal Mohamed. I am a professor of English here at Yale. The seminar that I hope to lead this summer is Poetry as Sound and Object. We've done this once before through the New Haven Institute, and Carol can tell you about that if you managed to talk to her in the hall as a veteran of that seminar. And also as a kindergarten teacher, someone who shows that this is a seminar that I hope will draw in teachers of all grades. The first object I'd like to show is the anthology that I had as a sophomore in college for an American literature course, The American Tradition in Literature. Now, just when you hold up this object, what is the message it gives you? It's big, weighty. It's not an object we turn to for pleasure, right? It's a book stop, right? It is our duty, right, to read this thing. And it tells you, with its title, that you must read this thing if you're going to have a command of the American tradition in literature. And yet it also tells you at the same time, you will never have a command of the American tradition in literature, because this is what you must get through in order to possess that, right? It's off-putting, isn't it? Right? It's intimidating. And so even if we sort of carry this object from our own training in the back of our minds, we already have a kind of obstacle to an engagement with poetry founded less in command, possession, mastery, and more in pleasure, delight, engagement, right? And we're going to try to experiment with ways of looking at poetry that move us from that one way of thinking about poetry to the other, right? So to that end, we foreground the media in which poetry presents itself. Less about the anthology handed down to us, more about thinking of poetic sound, and also overlaps between the way poetry is presented and the visual arts. And in many ways, thinking about poetic sound is as old as poetry itself. It takes us back to Homer. It takes us to Chaucer. Poetry is an oral medium long before it's a printed medium, right? But it also is very contemporary. And the contemporary poets that we're going to look at are black poets especially, who are engaging in experiment, and sometimes really exciting experiments with the book as printed object, and with the oral delivery of poetry, and also with the creation of video poems and things like that. So the seminar will look at video poems, recordings, various kinds of printed artifacts, movement toward blackout poetry. We've got an example of that in the Reginald Dwayne Betts that's making its way around. And in the spirit of show and tell, we're going to spend as much time as we can in the Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library. We happen to have tremendous resources here at Yale, and my agenda is to get people playing with them as much as we possibly can. So when we ran the seminar last time round, we looked at manuscript commonplace books, which are the sort of original medium in which John Donne's poetry was circulated before they were printed. They weren't printed in Donne's lifetime. They were circulated in manuscript. We looked at a letter from Sigmund Freud to the poet H.D., which was remarkably mundane. I mean, it was all about sort of pets and kids and things like that, but still kind of, it's fascinating to hold a letter from the desk of Sigmund in your hand. We looked at correspondence much of the correspondence of Langston Hughes. We happen to have a peerless Langston Hughes collection here at the Beinecke. And we looked at some of that correspondence, including a Western Union telegram from Martin Luther King to Langston Hughes to the effect of, I'm doing a little march in Selma next week. It would be nice if you came down, Langston. Remarkable stuff, and stuff that brings tradition to life, right, in a way that can get wheels turning in terms of our teaching practice. I mean, the hope here is to create a true seminar where a room full of master teachers is really talking about how we can take these objects into the classroom in order to bring them to life for our students. So some of the objects making their way around the room are Claudia Rankine's Citizen, which you'll notice incorporates visuals and text, and some of those poems in that book are linked to a video poem series that Rankine has produced. Tyehimba Jess's Olio is also making its way around this half of the room. And Jess has given us a kind of archive in verse. There's an archive of the Olio, which are intermission shows in a minstrel show, where black performers had greater freedom to perform on their own terms. And Jess has created a kind of poetic archive of such performance and the stories of those performers in Olio in a way that looks like an archive box, in that it's text, and some text that looks like news clippings and things like that, and also just an object that one flips through and holds, and that carries sort of inherent fascination. And then on this side of the room, the large black book is Reginald Dwayne Betts's collaboration with Titus Kaphar that is blackout poetry, redactions from court documents initiated by the Center for Constitutional Rights for people who are being held incarcerated because they couldn't pay cash bail, right? So Betts sort of excavates these court documents to foreground the social and also the human stories in behind that particular brand of incarceration. And you can see what this collaboration between Betts and Kaphar has done with visuals and also with the technique of blackout poetry. And then sort of in there's also a New Yorker piece on Betts's further project, which is poetry printed on paper, with the paper being made out of recycled prisoners' clothes. So incarcerated men would send their used clothes to Betts, and he would chop those up and turn them into paper pulp, and then print poetry on that, so that the object itself, links us in a very tangible way to incarceration. That project now, there are sort of books from that project on sale, but each individual copy runs like 15,000 or so. So I didn't bring that. I don't have a copy of any of that one. But you get the picture from that little smudgy New Yorker piece. And that's the seminar. I hope, given past experience, I hope something that'll be productive for a broad range of teachers from a broad range of grades, and addressing several curricula, not just ELA, also social studies and beyond. Okay, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.